Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WGL EU. Game 1 already down. If you missed it, I feel sorry for you. There was definitely some fantastic action in that one. Oliver, Casner Crew, surprising us maybe a little bit. I think maybe we thought they'd get the win over Synergy there. But to that degree, a 5-1 scoreline is it's a big deal. It's
a landslide victory. I mean, 5-1, it doesn't only tell you that the team was better than the other team, but also, you know, a team that was consistently good at every single aspect of the game. So strategy, coordination, timing, focus fire, all those important factors. Casner Crew were just better than Synergy. But, you know, that's hardly surprising. Ex-European champion, top 4 team in the world. They are very, very good.
Keep being so nice, and maybe Vetso will buy us some more free drinks at the next event, mate. I see your game. I know what you're about, mate. As you just saw on the screen, of course, that was our first map of the day down. Casner Crew obviously winning that one out. The next map now is going to be Ding versus WUSA. Two teams that we got to see a little bit of last week. Again, they played their first matches there. Ding obviously falling over to Tornado Rocks in what was a fairly long game. I think it went to like 8 rounds. And WUSA with that tiebreaker victory over Polish team, No Mercy. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, you know, Ding coming off a loss here, and, you know, WUSA coming off a win. To be fair, though, to Ding, they started the first map very well. They actually were 3-1 up, and then they lost on Himmelsdorf disastrously, basically losing all 4 rounds, as you mentioned in the previous matchup. So I think for Ding, they're just trying to get a little bit of motivation back and a little bit of pride back, because losing 4-0 on Himmelsdorf as a Russian-speaking team is very, very embarrassing, to say the very least.
Especially when they were so known, those Russian teams as well, for it's got to be 3 IS3s, it's got to be 2 5100s back in the day, and we played the steel wall, and a lot of Russian teams were definitely known for not only being defensive, but also for being very good on those sort of close quarters maps. They were excellent brawlers. But I guess the meta's caught up with them as well. A lot of these teams now are starting to develop an understanding of sort of how the game works, not just fundamentally, but in those head-to-head scenarios when you've got 3 IS3s and they've got 3 IS3s. It's not enough to just ram them in towards your opponent here. So, of course, Seps is going to be the first map, so not so much of that close map, but Himmelsdorf will be the second map. If Ding don't carve out enough of an advantage on the map of Steps, they could find themselves in another highly detrimental position on Himmels.
The thing is, Ding picked Himmelsdorf. This is their map choice. So, you know, I think the thing is, I said this at the beginning, you know, Ding and all these teams are not thinking about, okay, let's go round by round, trying to pick up best maps, not like an offline finals where winning is everything. Right now, they've got another 10 match days ahead of them, essentially. They need to be good at Himmelsdorf, you know, they need to be good at every single map. The only map we haven't seen so far is, well, 2 maps, Ghost Town and Lakeville. But, you know, Himmelsdorf is always going to be one of those ones we pick up. So Ding would have practiced it. They would have made sure that they're actually a team that can perform on that map. And they're not one which can just get counterpicked and absolutely destroyed 4-0.
And the thing about Ding that we've seen is that they turtle up really well. So especially on Ruinberg up against Rocks, when they were able just to sit back and play that Russian style, they definitely were successful. But when they had to play on Himmelsdorf, and it's no longer a map where you can just hold a 2-3 line hold and wait for them to push on towards you, they seemed to struggle. They had to be proactive, and it didn't really seem to be their forte. Now, Melly, in the Twitter sphere or over on our Twitch chat, where's the vote going? What are people sort of saying about these two teams?
Well, 70% for Team WUSA already, and the vote runs throughout the first map. So people, if you haven't voted yet, head over to our Facebook page and vote, because you can win free stuff, and we want to know how you guys predict. And I also asked in the Twitch chat that they should give me one word for this matchup. I said interesting, because 5-3 versus Rocks is pretty clear. Let's see how they do against WUSA. And I got stuff like unique, fabulous, and whatever. I don't know if I should take those into account.
I'm sure they're not just complimenting you?
Maybe they were just describing me.
I think that, well, given
maybe all his hair.
Oh, thanks.
Well, to be fair, I would say sort of it's running away from the cameras. I wouldn't say unique and fabulous. Well, maybe in that regard it is. I don't actually want to know what one word Killzor is saying either. I think that one can be just... mods just delete that one out. We don't really need that one. But. All right, so 70-30 map vote there. Interestingly enough, WUSA again, got a lot of fans here in Europe as well. WCG competitor as well, hailing from Germany. A lot of them were. Now we've seen a few more of their players filter out over towards different teams. We'll have to see how they go. That match against No Mercy was close, and we sort of spoke off stream, and I was listening to the VOD as well, that it was just the tenacity and the experience of WUSA that allowed them to triumph in that map. Mechanically speaking, The polls were very, very strong. Of course, no mercy. And we're always looking at this from WUSA. They're always very interesting. Sometimes they have these consistent games. They're performing really strongly, and sometimes they just seem like they're off in a completely different world. They've had a few changes, of course, to their roster now. Who's standing out to you as a star player or one to watch?
I think for WUSA, they're definitely the best players is Stefan. I mean, the guy's really, really solid. He's been getting better through every single season, but in their last game, just a good team, and I think a good player. And that's the thing why they won against No Mercy. You know, they were very close, but you could see that WUSA was that 5 to 10% better, and that's why they managed to clinch that last round. So I'm definitely looking at Stefan to step up this one as well.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, WUSA versus Ding. We're on the map of steps. All right, Steps, it is Ding in the red defending, WUSA in the blue on the attack. Our lineups are here in front of us. What are we seeing?
Interesting that Roofy's picked up the M44. Not really, well, I wouldn't really consider a top artillery player, but he's a very, very solid player in general, so I think he can do something. And just as I say that, 743 damage making its way into Kenny Boy's T54 lightweight.
Now, Shocky's taking a little bit of shots in response, but he's essentially able to get out of the danger zone here. What an interesting setup we're seeing from WUSA here, setting up those two tanks right in the valley. They can get the long shots as well. Shocky's just thought he was headed out for a stroll, but he's going to walk back with two big bullet holes in his hull. And now WUSA are starting to creep up a little bit more. No, and in no way they're really at all looking towards that northern cap. They're setting up here towards the southern side. And look at the minimap. Look how Ding are trying to respond to this now.
It's pretty funny. I mean, Ding were clearly just trying to get a little bit of information at the beginning of the round, but then they got absolutely annihilated by that M44 shot. So great start by WUSA here. I mean, that's what the T44 is for, the M44 is for. So clearly, you know, Ding wanting to try to reset this game a little bit, get the T32 hull down, and maybe send some of those T54 lightweights towards the western side. But I think generally they're going to not go too far away, because obviously, you know, that T32 is very slow, and if you leave it alone, the turret traverse isn't great. It will get surrounded, and the M44 will start picking up its HP.
All right, Derzenictor and Stefan on your screen. Definitely the player to watch, as you pointed out. Ding definitely losing out in those first few salvos in terms of health, but look at the response now. They've just backed right off up towards that northern cap. They've really moved away, but Diplomat was left behind as maybe a little bit of a contingency, but he's going to take a couple shots as well. He's going to be very, very careful and pull on out of there. Meritorious is the last tank that's really been left to defend that cap, and I mean, a T32, what better tank to work in that hull down zone? So
I think now, you know, if WUSA wants to win this match, they just have to go pushing straight across the right side. You know, Diplomat coming off that hill would have given them, it should have given them a good idea that, hey, you know, Ding aren't on this right side anymore, because if they were, they would have been able to support Diplomat. So it really does depend on how quickly WUSA react to this situation.
Good response here from Ding. They're actually going to try and do a bit of a do-si-do here towards WUSA and push down the middle of the map, but will they be spotted or get spotted first? Stefan and Derzenictor are already lit as well. Vetlion as well is visible to them. He's sitting up the back in their Spar Panzer just to essentially stop anything like this, but here's the push. Shockies is coming across, using the rocks to defend himself from Cease, and Stoik is going straight for that Spar Panzer right now, and the capture has also begun as an IS-3 pushes up on the north.
So now we've got WUSA going straight across, you know, back towards the defensive lines, but the problem is Vetlion is in a great situation, and they are just buying time for WUSA to do as much as they can. Also, Meritorious took a lot of damage from that artillery again.
Oh, Shockies just gets pretty much annihilated there. Derzenictor's going to get pushed on towards by Holknick here, but Ding are running out of players before they can even orchestrate any real strategy here. Carver going to be pushing up as well. Berkusiat trying to do some work through the rocks, but now he's got Cease behind him to worry about, and Holknick going for the ram, but isn't going to be able to complete it. Not enough speed anyway, and he gets picked up by Carvey. Looks like WUSA now have the opportunity just to sort of clean up the pieces here. Berkusiat just drops down. Meritorious is still standing, and so is Diplomat, but that's not enough for Ding to put anything together at this stage.
Yeah, 2 versus 6 right now. You know, Roofy just continues to pump out the damage. A few of the WUSA tanks are fairly low. Derzenictor almost down to, well, is down to a one-shot, but, you know, WUSA have just been such a solid team this round. They've had all the answers, and I think some very basic mistakes by Ding didn't help, but, you know, see if they can actually claw anything back.
Oh, they'd be struggling here. They're up against such a huge disadvantage here. Sish, Carvey, and of course, Vidline now just going to break cover up at the back of the map. He's going to push on with this Sparpans RU 251. WUSA with the tanks in the right places, and the right place is right on top of Diplomat's head. First map going over towards WUSA there. Really interesting, actually, the way that sort of played out. And we saw Ding went for some adaptation, went for a bit of a change, but what went wrong for them?
I think the fact that Stefan could push on his own onto Meritorious and Diplomat kind of gave you an idea. Diplomat, you know, that position is great because he's providing cover to that T-32, but he just pushed straight down and basically ran away, which gave Stefan some good ability to go forward, do some damage to Diplomat, drag those two tanks out of the equation, and then, you know, WUSA did a great job of just holding their ground. You had Vitline up there in 251, and Sish and Stefan did fantastic work. But I also, of course, have to mention Rufy's role in that M44. I think he hit 3 shells for 700 damage, so 2.1k damage in one round. It's absolutely fantastic from him, and I think he's just going to get better and better. And
we said we actually saw one of the players from Ding just get chunked down really early on into the round. And look, all credit, I guess, to Rufy for setting that up, but also good canvassing on the spots for Ding, for WUSA, sorry. Here's the push from Ding here, a little bit haphazard, a little bit disorganized. You can see Kenny Boy actually in a position where he can get shot quite easily from where the WUSA setup was, and this little strike force of lights here on towards Sish. So much time for WUSA to respond, and they just responded by getting their own sort of flank.
But look where that T-54 is. What is it doing in this battle? Stefan has that T-32 and that T-54 completely locked down. Now he goes down finally, but you can see, you know, that whole split just didn't work for Ding. In the south, it was like a 6 versus 5 situation. And even with the artillery, it still was a very, very bad area to be in, especially with Vidline and Hulusagen in those 2 tier 8 tanks up in the higher parts of the map, just shooting down. And then, you know, by this time, it's already game over, and WUSA have walked away with a win.
Just bizarre, actually, looking at the minimap there as well. Until the final moments, Ding had that 54 lightweight up at the top of the map, doing absolutely sweet Fanny Adams. Not a lot at all. I don't understand that as well. Like, that's a tank you need in the fight. So
I have no idea what that means, by the way.
It's an acronym, so because the alternative is actually quite rude, so I'm not actually going to use that. Right. It's an Aussie thing. I actually called you China.
You should write down all your Aussie phrases and the meaning next to them, just so I know.
Just so you know, like this is like a guide to dealing with Mitch. Well, I called you China plate before, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Why does that mean like break easily?
No, it just means mate.
Oh, right, okay.
It's funny, we have these short words in Australian English, and then we substitute them with longer words that make no sense. For example, dog and bone is phone.
Right.
I don't know if you heard fair shake of the sauce bottle.
No. I've never heard any of them. I'm telling you right now, I've never heard anything like it.
We're going to have a lot of fun this season with those ones. We're going to even play a guessing game. Guess that strange Australian.
No, that should be a Twitch chat or a social media thing. Guess what Mitch is talking about.
Like for the whole time, if you can decipher even 5% of what I'm saying, I'll give you a hug at land, because that's not too bad at all.
Maybe we should put it on the whiteboard we have in the caster's office, just sayings from Mitch, and just pop them up there and see. Let's get a vote going on in the office as well.
All right.
I already have to deal with the people on Twitter to kind of help them, but sadly I don't know either, so maybe you should write an article or a blog or something.
Maybe. I mean, like, if you think I'm hard to understand, you try talking to Ollie at 9 AM on a Monday morning.
Anyone at 9 AM on a Monday morning.
Can you say the most Aussie sentence you have?
Oh, I'll think of one after this one. Okay. I'll think as we jump into battle. All right, so after the waffle, WUSA up 1 round. They're attacking yet again, and Ding with a chance to bring it even.
So pretty much the same lineups. I mean, we have the M44 again by Rufy. I mean, of course, you know, you have the whole artillery, question. Is artillery really that reliable? Do you pick it more than once? You know, do you try it more than once? And the M44 really has been a very unreliable tank. I think the only really standout player that comes to mind is, of course, he's just come straight out of my mind again. Arclit, of course. Arclit has been really reliable in that M44, and I think, you know, if Rufy can even get close to him, he's definitely going to be a really, really hard force to deal with.
All right, so obviously, it's important enough to obviously have that artillery piece on the map, but you do need the tanks to spot for it as well. On his own, he is absolutely useless. So let's see what happens now. Ding, going for a little bit of an earlier push down the western side of the map, the MT-25, you can see still up at the north. And again, Ding are leaving back that T-54. We understand that, but last time they left it back with a T-32 and another 54 lightweight. So this time, at least, they're moving in numbers, which is a damn good start for Ding if they want to try and set up here. A few shots on the move. Meritorious takes a bit of a chunk there, and he has to be careful about coming forward here because WUSA are setting up.
Yeah, Meritorious just a little bit in the open. Again, Vitline being such a positive player, being a really key player in the team, doing a lot of damage. Now, if WUSA can halt Ding in their tracks, Roofy will start getting into the equation. He'll start working. Yes, you have the T-54 and the MT-25 up north, just kind of trying to stop WUSA from rotating around. But I don't see why they wouldn't just get into that eastern side. I mean, you could literally just push all your tanks into that eastern side cap. You go hull down, and you should be laughing because you got the IS-3 and Ding doesn't have the T-32.
WUSA now actually starting to move in towards that valley here, just pushing Ding away. They will obviously get pushed onto eventually. I mean, they're going to be setting themselves up in the lower part of the valley, and you did see that Lion go quite low, obviously sitting up in his, what we now know to be a standard spot for him, trying to do just that, to spot out the enemy team. He's been forced away, and now Ding, again, they're going to rotate. They do this quite frequently, sorry. It's a full lineup of 54 lightweight, so it's a super mobile lineup. And yeah, they can adapt, and yes, they can change things on the fly, but it's one thing to make decisions quickly and act on them, but it has to be the correct decision. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, I think, Ding, we saw last Playday because they were a kind of a questionable team when they're playing all together. That's why they went 4-0 down against Rocks on Himmelsdorf. You can see they've already tried to rectify that weakness area. They're playing more together. They're playing more solidly, and I think it's going to definitely pay off in the long run. It's just going to take a little bit of time to actually get proper and really get down to a T. Now, WUSA have done what I've expected them to do: sit in the cap and just wait until Ding makes the next move. They got the IS-3 there. They got a good amount of tanks in the background. The one problem they have is that Roofy, will be spotted almost immediately as soon as Ding do push, and he'll get taken down very quickly. And of course, that'll be a tank out of the game. But then again, the MT-25 is almost dead as well. All
right, Meritorious going fairly low. The cap is moved off. Stefan wants to get in position now to bring that gun to bear. But he's going to take a couple shots in response as well. Ding just setting up a line of scrimmage almost being drawn along this middle road, but they're going to try and dig out WUSA, but it doesn't seem like it's working out so well so far because Shockies is getting obliterated. They're pushing onto Derzenik to the 2v1. They're trying to create that sort of overmatch, but the rest of WUSA are just acting as a firing squad right now, and here we can see Percusiat and Shockies going in there. They will manage to pick up Derzenik to get him out of the map, and Roofy's a little bit vulnerable. He's quite close to this strike force of light tanks, but they are getting chunked down yet again, and it always seems to be the situation, Ollie. WUSA are up in health points, and they're looking comfortable.
And Siege is in a great position at T-54. I mean, that's the thing. WUSA has all the positions, and Ding knows if they sit there, Roofy will punish them every single time. Now, Carvey from behind will just be able to punish more. Again, Diplomat being almost useless in this game gets taken down by Roofy. So, Ding staying together. They're still in this game. Only a couple of 1,000 hit points behind. But, Percusiat is down to one shot. Shockerfish, the team captain's very close as well. Shockish, I should say, is very close to being down as well. So, and again, WUSA, they have the cap. They have the pressure. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just push off and deal with these last tanks from Ding.
I mean, you can say Shockfish all you like, because there's an Aussie saying here for you. He's playing a bit like a stun mullet right now. He's just forced to back away. Not too many options. He's definitely questioning what the next move is going to be for Ding. They have to coordinate one last push on towards this cap, and they've got to commit all of their health points into trying to get WUSA off there. So far, WUSA looking incredibly strong. Stefan is healthy. Carvey takes a double tap. That is where Ding need to start with these maneuvers. Stoik is just trying to get some sort of advantage, get a spot on towards WUSA before they cap this one out. But these 54 lightweights aren't even remotely close enough to contest this cap. Time is ticking down, and the 54 lightweights of Ding are just not going to get there in time. Stoik wants to try and reset, but it gets taken down by Siege as well, and WUSA will complete the cap. Ding scratching their heads, wondering what happened to them. There's no way that they could really contest that.
No, I mean, at every single point, WUSA had the control. I think Kenny Boy did a valiant effort from the side. He didn't see him there, but he was trying to get the peaks, trying to hit the tops of those tanks. And Stoik, going in with that MT-25, just trying to get the resets on. But, WUSA had all the cards in their hands. They played like the better team in this map. And, you know, the damage was clearly in favor of WUSA. They got the initial bit of damage when Vitalen was up in the north. You know, then they rotated around in towards the cap. They got the cap area there with Stefan in the IS-3. And Ding playing, you know, better than they did last match. But I think they just lack just a little bit of, you know, defensive ability. You can see already they are definitely, you know, lacking some HP, despite the fact that altogether with Rufy, that they should have the more hit points.
Oh, you can see here, this is where they sort of, this is where the initial push came out from WUSA. They tried to set up on towards the cap, and they hold it quite nicely because Ding is still, well, they're running around like flies a little bit at the moment. They haven't really set up. And this is what we're saying. They're a team that is responsive, but it's almost like this knee-jerk reaction that they're pulling. They really never settled. They're spread across the map here. And they didn't really, they weren't able to dig WUSA out at all. You can just see him moving around back and forth, just trying to set up.
Yeah, I mean, this is very hard for Ding to do. I mean, it's almost a loss right here. Meritorious, he took a lot of damage by Vitline at the beginning. He goes across and Hallucinogen easily makes a shot. I loved Zanix just positioned there on the side. They know that they have to go for him. It gives WUSA a little bit more time as they do take him down. And then you got Siege in the left side, in the right side, in the left side from this position. And he's just tapping Ding again and again and again and again. And, you know, that's great damage altogether. But WUSA just looking pretty solid. I think Ding needs to kind of go back to the drawing board on the attacking sides from steps, because it feels like they're not even getting into these rounds.
Yeah, that's right. They seem to be pushed off their own cap, and they're never really able to retake it. As we'd say back home, they're looking a few tinnies short of a slab at the moment. But let's see if they can maybe bring it back. I'm teaching you these things, mate. Because when we go
I still have no idea what it means, though.
Well, look, you know, a few tinnies short of a slab. Slab's like a full case of beer.
Is it?
So, yeah.
I had no idea what that even meant.
Yeah.
That's just a pack in English. You know that?
What,
you know,
a pack?
Repeat after me, pack.
A pack of beer.
6-pack of beer. So you say slab and I say pack. Fair enough. All right.
That's fine. You know, Melly, how you keep me up with the Australianisms and, of course, trying to juggle that with Twitch chat?
I actually found a dictionary for Aussie slang, and I was just roaming around, so I didn't get like the first 2 sentences of your discussions over there. But well, whatever. It's amazing. I will post it in Twitch chat so you better understand Mitch, because the first request for Twitch for a Mitch English Mitch dictionary are already requested by Twitch, to be honest.
You could print a mint off that one. I reckon you could sell a fair bit. Here's another one as well. You know, like the cheeky Nando's thing.
Yeah.
We've had that for ages. Sorry, since gone for a sneaky Macca's run in my.
I didn't know you even had restaurants yet in Australia.
We've got a few. Well, it's the horse-drawn cart rocks up eventually.
Okay.
You set up. Right. Actually, to be fair, like the hay is pretty comfortable.
I thought you just did Barbie on the beach, and that was generally like the entirety of your cuisine.
Yeah, actually, well, no, we just shear a sheep.
Shrimp on the Barbie.
And sit on the... So we don't have shrimp on the Barbie, that's the thing.
But the thing is, I always thought you were from New Zealand. I mean, I thought that was a thing.
How is that? What do you mean, how is that a thing? Oh, it's got the Union Jack on the flag. It must be the same country.
Well,
brilliant.
Close.
Absolutely brilliant. And there's a few other ones there. I'll bring them to... Actually, here's a great one. A bit of an insult. It's like... here we go. I hope your chooks turn into emus and kick your dunny door down. So you follow that one?
Bless you.
No, I did not follow it.
Chooks. A chook is a chicken. This is difficult. A chook is a chicken.
A
chicken.
A chock.
A chicken.
A chock.
A chook.
It's like a chock ice.
Like CHOOK. Chook.
Okay.
Chook. It's a chicken.
All right, carry on.
And a dunny is a toilet.
Dunny.
I hope your chickens turn into emus and kick your dunny door down.
Still don't get it.
What?
We'll get there. All right, we'll get there, ladies and gentlemen. Just stay with us here.
Someone who's native English, I have no idea.
I have a hard time talking English. Now he throws those around.
Well, I'm easing you in. Anyway, map number 3. Now, WUSA are on the defensive side here, and they've definitely shown that they can be decisive on the attacking side. Now, this is where Ding struggle. They can't turtle here. They've got to create openings and create opportunities. Any changes in tank picks? Anything that stands out to you here?
Yeah, well, yeah, they've gone for the heavy tanks. The 2 IS-3s, I think it's definitely a good thing. Obviously, WUSA, when they're on the defensive side, they went for the 1 IS-3. Now, it's quite interesting to note that both these teams are not playing to the standard I mean, the more standard meta on steps. It's not like they're going for that northern cap with the T21 or the 5916. They're all going for this left side as Kavi does take an initial bit of damage.
All right, Kavi getting pushed away here, and here's the push on for the 2 IS3s. That's really... They aren't tanks who really want to have to deal with running strategy here. So Meritorious and Shockish extending a fair way out from the rest of the team, but they have caught Kavi out. They'll be able to pick him up, but they're taking a bit of damage in the process now. You can see Durs and Stefan and Hallucinogen there, ready to push up, and they're really nailing these IS3s here. Some big shots coming out. Shockish unable to connect. You've got to connect. He's in the overmatch. Yeah, they got a big gunner, but if they can't connect the shot, it's not going to matter at all. The 54 lightweights here are going to get pushed onto here. Ding trying to create these overmatch scenarios. It's not bad, but it's going to be very, very messy. Stefan going low as well. Hallucinogen forced to back away. Holtnick comes in for the back, but misses a crucial shot. Bakuchiat will make up for that one now, and Derzanictor facing the full brunt of those shots coming out from Ding. He's going to go down. Hallucinogen now is the target. Roofy and Siege are trying to assist from a distance, but Ding bringing the aggression, and this time it's working.
That was the right call. I mean, very late from Ding. They almost lost their 2 IS3s, but when they eventually did go forwards, it was really fantastic for work from then, and some good coordination altogether. But, you know, Vitline and Roofy in the T32 and the 251 can do some work, but they've got a hell of a tall order to make.
Roofy sitting tight there. He's not too damaged thus far. And that's a nice little double tap towards Kenny Boy. When you've only got 2 tanks and you can focus fire like that, that is how you're going to win in this scenario. WUSA need to turn this 5v2 into a series of 2v1s or 2v2 situations. They need to get the better of their opponents, because right now they've got a distinct disadvantage in terms of health points. Kenny Boy's a one-shot, so is Shockish. A few of the players from Ding are as well. And off screen, you can see Roofy getting pushed into here by, Valiant getting pushed into by Holtney, should I say. And that Spa Panzer is just not going to be able to stand up head-to-head. This is the problem with that Spa Panzer, and this is why we're seeing so many more lightweights now, is because they can't hold up in that 1v1.
Yeah, and also, you know, he started at disadvantage. He was down about 200-300 hit points, so, you know, Holtnick had a pretty easy job, but you can see, you know, where it went wrong for WUSA. You've got almost every single tank, apart from, let's say, Meritorious and Holtnick, down to a one-shot, and they're very close to it as well. So, you know, just so close for WUSA, but so far.
And there we go. Roofy now being the last man standing. Brilliant by Ding. Definitely a more chaotic style of play. Almost makes me think about the way we've seen some Southeast Asian teams play, and then almost a small adaptation from our European teams in that aggressiveness. Those IS3s, they caught out players. It was really, really good. They definitely caught the guys from WUSA off guard. Will it work twice in a row, though? Do you really think, was that really the whole proof strategy, or was it a bit of, you know, a bit of back and forth, a bit of, no, I'm not going to say luck, but just the chaos of the situation set it up?
Well, you can see here, you know, WUSA was doing really well, and then eventually Ding was like, hey, wait a minute, we can just push tanks in completely covered positions through and deal with these 3 T52 lightweights. But it was such a late reaction for them. Meritorious and Shockish almost went down, but when they finally did go forward, the coordination was good, the timing was great, and, you know, Kavi having died, and I think, you know, WUSA were expecting Ding to be around that position. I don't think they expected the IS3s to be so far forwards, but I think Kavi knew that it would be, you know, be a hero or be a zero essentially going forwards, and he did die, and that definitely didn't help WUSA. But, you know, great move there from Ding, taking those 3 T54s plus Kavi, 4-0 down at that point, and, you know, keeping their IS3s alive. Good work.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a particular style to play World of Tanks, and the only way you can really make this aggression sort of consistent is by being more frequently is by being consistent in that regard, being mechanically strong. Think PvP Super Friends, our first Grand Finals. Think EL Gaming in our second Grand Finals. These teams that always valued the head-to-head engagement, and in the head-to-head of the votes, WUSA, still that 70% sort of vote, Melly. Are you seeing that reflected in chat at the moment? Sort of WUSA definitely backing, or the WUSA fans, sorry, definitely backing up their players.
Absolutely. I mean, they're still in the second map, at the end of the second map, and they already consider a 5-0 ending, which Ding kind of, well, not made happen.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's kind of what happens when you have that team who is either a hot or cold, you know what I mean? Like, we've seen the rounds that Ding win always seem to be quite impressive, and when they lose, it always seems a bit average. But we'll check back in with you as well after our first map or before our second and see how things change now, because we still have another round to come. Ding, they pushed on now, but WUSA are a team that have experience. That's what got them over the line against No Mercy last week.
Yeah.
What's the adaptation to this kind of approach?
I think the T32 I think it was questionable. I mean, you know, for that tactic, it was too slow for it to actually push up and help those T-54s. I think that can, of course, change, but I don't know. I'm not sure if that lineup was really the problem. If I was WUSA, I'd be like, okay, you know, let's not go so aggressive at the beginning. Let's just keep the ground. Let's keep the T-32s. Maybe even pick up an IS-3 in there, and you know, get the overmatch and hit points and firepower. Let Ding make the mistakes at the end of the day. I mean, Ding's the one who has to go forwards. They have to try. And there's no need to do the same thing Ding did, essentially, when they were on the defensive side. But, you know, I have to see, of course, WUSA are a team that you know, stay calm when they're losing and, you know, they don't get too ahead of themselves.
And of course, if you guys are just joining us, this is still our first map of our second match today. So regardless of result, we'll be seeing a bit of Himmelsdorf a little bit later on. And as you said, really interestingly enough, Ding chose Himmelsdorf. They picked that map, which is one that they actually they lost 0-4 to Tornado Rocks last week. And one we definitely would have thought to pick. But right now, Steps, last chance here for Ding to get another round here on this map. Maybe they can make it 2 apiece heading into Himmels. What are we seeing tank-wise?
So Murakar playing the M44. Good to see that he's actually going to, you know, step up to the plate and play something that's a little bit unreliable. And then you got the normal T-54 stack, Holnick, Kenny Boy, Diplomat, and Percusiat. And finally, the 2 IS-3s played by team captain Shockish and highest damage dealer from last match day, Meritorious. WUSA, you know, they've gone for what they did last time, T-32, T-54s, Vitline in that 251, who, by the way, has been fantastic in that tank so far, and the T-37 played by team captain Siege.
Okay, so Ding again opting for, you know, just to group up here in the south side, and you know, they're probably not going to catch WUSA out as easily as they did last time. WUSA aren't that far forward, but still, M44, of course, on the map here for Mr. Akar. We'll call him that for now until we figure it out. And yeah, let's see if they can use that effectively. I mean, WUSA now set up in sort of that valley. This is a more standard start here. Ding, not really thinking too much about the east right now. I mean, it's almost as if they're avoiding that almost status quo way that we see this map play out sometimes, where, you know, we have the red team pushing up towards the top over the train line, try and drag the enemies out of that sort of valley and force them to sort of come and try and reset the cap. It's almost like this is a bit more certainty about this maneuver. Ding just want to take it head-to-head, keep their team all in one place. Yeah,
so I think, you know, WUSA is going to be worried about the IS-3s basically now. They need to put Roofy forwards because the T-32 needs to keep control of the cap. But they're going to be scared that those IS-3s are going to come charging around the corner and are just going to do an absolute a brutal amount of damage and, you know, get a significant part of the map in control. I'm going to see what those T-54s are doing. You can see Siege pave the way in that T-37, probably indicative of where the rest of his team are going to come from. But again, you know, if you hark back to the previous round, you know, when Ding was defending, they left too much, they sent too much around to the west. They didn't have anything towards the east. Diplomat was out of position, and that allowed WUSA just to get control of this right side cap, and that was with just one IS-3. So I don't think WUSA is going to be making that same mistake.
Slower play out from these guys than what we're normally used to seeing here. We should just sitting back on it here. They're actually allowing themselves, well, they're giving up ground in that valley. They're happy enough doing that. Of course, they got Roofy in the T-32, is just going to be an absolute linchpin for WUSA just on that hull down position. It's not really possible for Ding to push across and not take a bit of damage from him and the rest of the firing squad that are set up by WUSA. They've got a few tanks back in reserve as well, and they're going to be wanting to use them to respond quickly. Siege being very careful. A player who really knows how to make an impact on that T-37 or the lower tier tank is always a thorn in the side of the enemy. It's a great example. If you're that guy in team battles who does play the lower tier tanks, the tier 7s or tier 6, watch Siege and see what he does. But now we're watching Ding pushing down into this valley there. Again, moving their whole force as one. The M44 is you know, reasonably quick. Is going to be able to keep up with the team now. Roofy is going to have to deal with the push now. But let's see what the setup and response is from WUSA.
Now, this is just all about execution. So far, Murakar, Mr. Carr, hasn't actually connected any shells, and Roofy's done good damage there in the T-32 as it goes across, but now you have the problem. You know, WUSA has to peek to save Roofy.
This is the correct move here by Ding. They're just going to try and dig Roofy out, and they've got the flank on him, and it's a lot of lightweights looking straight towards that T-32. You can have as much turret armor as you like, but the T-32 doesn't have the best hull, and you can see those shots going straight in towards him like butter. But here's the response from WUSA. They do have, for a brief period, the overmatch towards these two IS-3s. If they can get those out of the match now, it will be extremely positive for them now going towards the later part of the game. The cap is underway as well. Not really consideration right now. Derzanicta gets a bit of a bounce there off the shots from the IS-3s, and now Percusiat is going to be taking a lot of damage as he pushes in towards the cap. There's the reset though. It's going to get slowed up that little bit more as those 3 tanks just set up on towards the cap. WUSA just now can play a bit of cat and mouse, bit of whack-a-mole as it were, to poke over those hills and to get those shots on. Stefan takes one, but Hulknik is taking a hell of a lot more damage. WUSA trading into this side far more effectively. Hulknik a one-shot. Meritorious is also a one-shot, and Ding are running out of players to take that cap.
You can see the surround from WUSA is absolutely fantastic. They got every single tank holding every single corner. There's really not much Ding can do. They also Ding left too many tanks into towards the right side, and WUSA are looking to finish this game off.
All right, Kenny boy, he's in trouble. He's got a lot to deal with right now. Lion has broken cover yet again. That's Sparpanzer. He loves to get to grips a little bit later on around. Likes to be that second line tank sort of coming up and supporting sort of the hard-headed 54 lightweights. WUSA, good showing from them this time, not getting ahead of themselves. I mean, from their perspective, I guess it can be a little bit easy to get ahead of yourself in those first couple maps, or those matches, should I say. They got off to an early lead, were looking confident. Well, they drop one here, but again, still out, definitely out, striding forward. It's a strong advantage so far.
Yeah, 3-1 scoreline going out of steps into what Ding's performance on Himmelsdorf was in the next map. Himmelsdorf is good. It's a nice little scoreline, but you know, I think, you know, looking back at that last map, Roofy in the T-32 was a good bait. You know, he needed to be there. He hit his shells. He did good damage to the IS-3s. You know, down to about half HP. So when the T-54s, you know, came around afterwards and dealt with him, it was enough. They could deal with the IS-3s eventually. Also, Percusiat, I think he's played a little bit carelessly there, and as soon as WUSA sees a weakness, they exploit it very, very nicely. But I think Ding did the right thing. But once they take down Roofy, they kind of stopped in their tracks. They didn't really know what to do. I think they should have kept the pressure on, not allowed WUSA to surround them.
And this is, I guess, the first movements here. This is where Ding wanted to try and get up behind Roofy, and yeah, it's a good position, but it took him a long time to deal with that T-32. You watch how long Roofy stays alive for here. Shots being missed, a couple going in towards him now, and look at the T-54s in the background. Look at them mobilized. Look at them setting up. Roofy again gets dropped to a one-shot quite fortuitously, and Hulknik is forced to expend yet another shell to pick him up. And here's the push, and those IS-3s are on their own. I mean, that's a big commitment. 4 of those lightweights to deal with that one T-32 by Ding.
But the T-54 should just push forward. They should have just gone forwards. I mean, they just stay back, and that was very bad. Percusiat goes forward, Derzanicta bounces 2 shells, Percusiat takes 2 shells, and you know, the HP is going badly in the favor of WUSA, and those T-54s are not good hull down. You simply can't do damage with them. You don't have the gun depression to actually peak up. Whilst, you know, WUSA, they also hull down, but they could at least just, you know, move 5 meters forwards or 2 meters forwards, get the gun down onto the T-54s or the IS-3s and deal that damage. So good surround by WUSA, the classic whole, you know, putting a net over your enemy and making sure all the angles are covered.
Well, they pick their fights well from one tank to another. Well done by WUSA there. So it's going to be a 3-1 advantage for them now heading into our second map. But Melly, I had to chat to you before a little bit of a you know, impromptu chat to see what things were happening. What's going on with the vote here? Because we've seen a little bit of it. I feel like it shifted quite a bit recently.
Yeah, 91% to WUSA.
Yeah.
That's what it shifted to, and the chat is pretty sure and most certainly that WUSA is most certainly taking this round, and yes, I think they kind of already know how this match actually ends, and nothing. Now they started talking about something else. That's what happens to Twitch chat.
That's fine. It's not always easy to keep.
They get easily distracted, like, oh, look at this, a squirrel.
A squirrel. So if you guys have seen any squirrels, let us know. Well, you probably won't know because you're probably too busy watching it. All right, so interesting. 2 one-sided games, one-sided voting at least so far. I mean, there's always an opportunity for Ding to bring things back. We know that they're capable of that, but we'll have to see how they perform on the next map. So we're going to cut to a break, but I'm going to leave you with a bit of an Australianism to mull over before we go. I'm going to read it off the screen here, so bear with me, but I'll try and do it in my best accent to see if you guys can tell me what I'm saying. Struth, me and me mate Basil were driving in the ute with some flaming galah, cut us off with some dodgy Holden commo. We got out and had a bit of a blue and a bit of a dust up, if you will, but when we talked it out over a slab of tinnies, we picked up at a bottle nearby. We're going to Bonnie next week. Reckon it'll go off like a frog in a sock. And on that note, goodbye, my career is over. When we come back from the break, Ollie will be leading the show. Don't go too far. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WGLEU. The bosses mustn't be watching tonight because I'm still here. Glad to be here, though, of course. First map already done. It's a 3-1 result, and WUSA looking dominant again.
Yeah, WUSA looking like a good attacking team and a good defensive team. I think our last round showed that even when they're down, they can still manage to get back into these games and win. And of course, they lost Roofy in that T32, but they still managed to get the overall execution. They had a plan if that T32 went down, so I think WUSA are looking very, very solid indeed.
They definitely feel comfortable on steps, even when you often put yourself at the mercy as a defender of an attacking team who has two equally equally possible routes, I guess, of approach. Both those caps are fairly easy to hit in the same sort of manner. So I mean, didn't catch them out once, obviously, like on that defense. I mean, the WUSA were maybe a little bit too close for comfort there, getting a bit confident, getting a bit aggressive, but it didn't quite work out for them on that occasion. So Ding, with the one map, they still go into Himmels with that, but I mean, it's a distinct disadvantage going into a map that they were not good on last week at all.
Yeah, I mean, Ding were in the exact opposite situation last week. They were actually 3-1 up against Rocks. They went into Himmelsdorf and they lost 5-3. So, that's what happens on this on a map you're not comfortable with. And I think, Ding, they can take a little bit of comfort from the fact that they know they can come back. And if they've done spend the last few days, last week, preparing and getting themselves sorted for this next map, I think they can potentially come back. Because I know WUSA has not really typically been a particularly strong team on Himmelsdorf. No,
and they've shown consistency issues as well, a tendency to fall apart where the going can get a little bit tougher. But I mean, today it's off to a good start for them. We're always looking, of course, for WUSA when they go up against one of those more established teams. But for now, it's important for them, I guess, to just have this practice and have this chance to go up against a team that is at least going to push them. That is what the WGLEU is all about. Just quickly, a quick side note. Someone asked in chat if I can cast any faster. You guys know this is half-pace casting. This is actually half-pace casting, so I don't really need to go any faster because my accent is strong enough as it is. So, okay, we're going to be on to Himmelsdorf here, as we said. From your perspective, having seen the way Ding played it out last time, it didn't work well at all. They went 0-4. What do you think, if you were their analyst or coach, what would you have had them change?
I think on Himmelsdorf, they just didn't seem to manage to make anything work. They always took too much damage at the beginning. Their tactics were very dubious. But then again, Rocks played very, very well. They seemed to be like a team that are training against, Virtus Pro and your Navis, your Hellraisers, Cavs and the Crews, the top echelons of World of Tanks esports, and they're a team that's been around. They've got some solid members there. They know how to play Himmelsdorf, and I think Ding just lacked that little bit of execution to actually take down Rocks on that map.
As a defender, a lot trickier now. We have seen it was Synergy actually. I think that picked up both defending rounds on Himmels when they played it. So a strategy exists. There is sort of an approach that sort of works. But you have to be more reactive than you used to be. And we harp on about this a little bit more because it's probably one of the most significant changes. But let's have a look now at Himmelsdorf. First time we've seen it today, so let's refresh your memory. Himmelsdorf it is. Ding are down 2 rounds. They start on the defensive side, so it's a tall order for them here. What are we bringing to the fight?
Well, we've got a standard setup, 2 5100s, 3 IS3s from the side of Ding, and, WUSA going for pretty much the same. VK2801 from Strike, very interesting. I mean, clear that tier 6 German light tank. It's got a great gun. It does about, I think, 280 damage per pop. And it really can do a lot. It's heat ammo, though. It's going to struggle against the IS3s, but it will definitely penetrate the 5100s without any problem. So let's see if he can make it work. It's questionable pick, but we haven't seen it before, so it can always surprise the other team.
Very nimble little tank as well. I remember back in the day, back in the 742 format, we used to see teams run 6 of these, or some permutation of that, a lot of those. So they are good, I mean, especially in packs, but obviously just the one now for Stoik. Nimble little tank. So he's definitely obviously set up in that corner, and Stefan is lit. He knows he's going to be lit there. He knows he still needs to hold that corner. It is very, very important for that IS3 to be sitting there, and it's going to be able to dish away at any sort of push down the 8 line. But it's WUSA who have to do the pushing here, and they're sort of setting up on that G line, just sort of waiting maybe for Ding to make a move. Maybe they're expecting them to continue to be aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, one of the ways Ding has to win this map is just by being fairly aggressive and holding all the the crosses, I guess you could say. So Stoic already taking a shell. WUSA have the hill as well. They got the T-37 up there. You've always got to keep it under control. And I think WUSA is playing a pretty standard setup on this map. They're going to take down Stoic. That's going to make it a little harder for Ding to go forwards. And let's see if they can actually do anything with the fact that Stoic is down. Will they, make anything happen here? They didn't have any cross onto him. They knew that WUSA would, as soon as they peaked, would shoot them. That's Meritorious, so PUC, Diplomat, or Kenny Boy. So they just didn't have any options, and they had to, release that VK.
All right, so the VK down, and Ding not able to really use it to much effect. I mean, yeah, they got the spot on Roofy and Stefan. Roofy, the guy just casually rolling forward, putting shots into him every time he was off reload now. So they've dealt with that tank. And now WUSA sort of grouping up. This is the push that we were theory crafting that would be now quite a lot more common because obviously pushing onto that northern cap from the right side is easier to do as an attacking team. So let's see what happens. There's also an AMX 50-100 up on that hill with Sish in the 37. So WUSA can bring their whole force to bear in a very, very short space of time. We'll see if that roll-up does occur. So far, WUSA haven't encountered any resistance really moving through the streets. So they've taken a lot of map control. And Ding have an IS-3 that is looking like it's a little bit out of position.
Yeah, this is one of the problems Ding had last time. They had the IS-3 there, and the other team would just push in, Rox would just push in, be aggressive, and they would immediately have the overmatch. So, it doesn't... I'm not sure if they've learned... Obviously, they've learned something. I mean, they're going back to what was a previous kind of setup on this map, defending up the north. They got Shockish there to make sure that Carvey and Roofy can't cap. They got the 5100 up for the A line, and also the C line protected by the 5100s and the IS-3. So, I like this. But I think if WUSA wants to win this, they don't mess up too much, they can.
Holknick with 3 shots and only 1 penetrating hit, and that's not ideal. He was really only able to give Stefan a bit of a love tap as he backed away a little bit from the northern cap. But again, he's going to continue to harass. He's going to just be a presence there, and Derzenicta can sit back in that 5100 and just completely nuke any tank that actually tries to push around the corner. Such a strong position for an attacking team to be in right now. And of course, Ding have to worry as well about Sish and Carvey and, and the other IS-3 sitting around the corner. I think it's maybe Roofy who can shove on towards that cap side as well. They can just slightly sidle their tanks over, and they can start capping without really committing to being out in the open. And that's what Kenny Boy is now having to respond to. But he's going towards a window. I don't think he needs to get to the window. I think he needs to get over towards the rest of those tanks from WUSA. The resets are coming in, but WUSA are winning that sort of chip away battle, the war of attrition, and they are in such a dominating position on the map right now.
Oh, but Ding is doing some great damage, and Stefan could easily fall here. He's actually been permatracked.
Oh, nice work. There was a quick turnaround in terms of health points. Actually, Stefan does go down. Kenny Boy doing work there from those windows, and WUSA have lost that tank right on the north side to give Shockish some woes. So now Pakushi out Meritorious, thinking the time might be fast approaching for them to move across. Nice work by Shockish, takes down Siege. And now Roofy and Carvey, the only 2 guns on this sort of corner, but there comes a shot as well out from the 5100. That was well positioned there by Hallucinogen. He will get one in response, but it's still enough to keep Ding's heads down for the moment. WUSA had an advantage, but they've squandered it now. Ding have more tanks and more health points.
Yeah, Stefan going down, being permatracked in that position was really, really bad. And I think WUSA got a little bit complacent there. Stefan a little bit aggressive. I said he was the best player from the last matchup WUSA had, but he just got too confident, and Derzenicta is trying to rectify his mistakes.
Oh, he gets completely nuked there. 1320 just before the last shot came through. That's focus fire for you, and that is how devastating it can be. WUSA now with only 3 tanks left. The Lighten and Carvey try and hold on, but Diplomat, fantastic positioning up behind him now, and the rest of Ding is just going to completely jump upon the beleaguered WUSA. Only those 2 IS-3s. Hallucinogen can't contribute to the fight. He's on reload, and these big Russian heavies are going to serve as decoration on the streets of Himmelsdorf right now. It's just Hallucinogen left, and Ding set up nicely. This is what they do well. When they can turtle up, when they can sit back, and they can sort of get pushed onto a little bit, they play well.
Yeah, they play very methodically. They're very iterative. They get a part of the map, and then they move forward to the next map. It's just a list. One part, the next part, the next part, the next part, and there's really no stopping them. They hit the shells. The focus fire was good, and good spread of damage throughout the team. No one really dying apart from one, and that was the VK. The rest of them staying alive. But also, catastrophic mistakes by WUSA allowed Ding to pretty easily get control of this round and, give them their first win on Himmelsdorf, it seems.
Well, Hallucinogen now just trying to buy his team some strategy time. Talking is hard. But he will head up the hill there, and this is obviously the chance for now his team just to sort of discuss what went wrong for them there, because that is a massive margin to lose by. 5,310 health points still on Ding. WUSA just got completely nuked there. The focus fire was great. They removed guns from the game. It seemed like WUSA went with like the cookie cutter setup for hitting that northern cap. But then the turnaround, as soon as I said Kenny Boy shouldn't be heading to the window, he proved me wrong, and then just put all these bullets in towards his, the enemy tanks. And, that's one way to die in World of Tanks, straight down the hill. Hallucinogen definitely won for a bit of showmanship here, and WUSA do drop their second map of this series here on Himmelsdorf. And again, an unsuccessful attack.
See what you did there.
Yeah, do you like that one?
That was good. Nice.
Oh, dear. Anyway, so didn't get in the win there. It's good from them. Again, we said that Himmelsdorf defense is still the kind of scenario where you do need to have some sort of initiative. You still need to just sort of push away. So Ding showing that they can do that when it was probably something that we were quite critical of on them. Where was a turning point for you in that game?
Well, Stefan was there. He went forwards. He hit Shockish. Good little bit of damage, 433. But then, you know, he got tracked by that 5100. He went down an IS-3 for almost nothing, and then you could see Ding push forwards, you know, get the shells. Shockish continually, you know, putting pressure onto Roofy and Carvey in the two IS-3s, and then Dozanicta peaked in that 5100, and he got absolutely obliterated, and that was game over. But it was 100% when Stefan peaked, got perma-tracked, got taken down, where, you know, WUSA lost it.
So that was the initial push, as you can see from WUSA there. So they went the 8 line. They sort of followed the textbook for Himmelsdorf attack scenarios. And this is when they were sort of set up. And as you were saying about Stefan, a really important position, that IS-3 that he's in here. This is where Holknick shanks probably 2 out of 3 of those shots towards him. Stefan essentially gets out scot-free. But this is where things start to fall apart. Yeah,
you know, Holknick was questionable, but, you know, Kenny Boy steps up for his team. He takes down Stefan. You got Dozanicta in the background, which I'm not sure exactly why he's there. I mean, he's kind of holding all the crosses, I guess. But WUSA just clearly lacked a little bit in that game. Stefan very confidently goes forward, but as soon as he heads around this corner, he gets a little bit lucky that there wasn't a 5100 in the window. Eventually, you know, Ding think, okay, we do need to put a 5100 there. We need to keep Shockish, who's on his own, forwards, safe. They put one there, and they did great work. The position from Dozanicta there, as you sort of just glossed over, is actually interesting because, yes, he was sat there. He wanted to guarantee that Stefan would have an immediate overmatch if they were pushed onto. But yeah, what maybe the WUSA were thinking is that if Ding are pushing onto WUSA in that scenario, if they're pushing tanks across the cap or around that corner towards Stefan, that's a great chance for their southern tanks that were sitting at the bottom of the cap to move up. That would be a more ideal scenario. They kind of want Ding to push onto them in that scenario. So, yeah, I feel like Dozanicta could have been used a little bit more effectively on that map there, at least. I mean, it's not a standard position from him. Maybe they're just sort of trying something out there, but yeah. I think they should have used, if they wanted to put a tank there, they should have used one which can stay hidden and does a lot more damage. I mean, the Waffle Tiger, for instance, the Waffentiger, just because, I mean, that tank can shoot more effectively through windows. It's got great penetration. It's not easy to use, but if you want a tank in a position like that, you should use that one. And, you know, Dozanicta was of no consequence that match anyway, so, you know, you have a lot to balance, and I think WUSA just got it wrong a little bit. There's a huge amount of responsibility on you as a 5100 player as well, because, you know, if you go down and you still have shells in your clip, or, you know, if you haven't been able to sort of really participate, that is honestly, for me, in a pinch, it's like 1.5 IS-3s, because just purely the amount of damage they're able to output in such a short period of time. If you go down, all of your front-loaded damage is then reliant on those IS-3s with, like, at default, they got about 13.6 seconds reload time. It's long. Let's see what WUSA can do. They want to close this out. You can see they can smell the cheese. They're close. They're chomping at the bit to clean it up, but they've got to bust through Ding's defense, which has so far been impenetrable. Yeah, so I think WUSA is going to switch things up a little bit. They're going to be thinking, okay, so Ding has a good strategy for defending that northern cap, kind of a nice mix between the new and the old with the whole defensive lines, but where can we go? You know, they would have looked at the previous rounds and seen that Pecusiat or whatever IS-3 is towards the left side, and they might be thinking, okay, maybe that's not going to be a good option, but I still think that's actually their best bet, you know, going for that left side cap. They got the T-37 there, and they can just sit it up behind the little kind of house that it sits into that west side cap. So, you know, WUSA has plenty of options. If they don't want to if they don't want to be there, they can rotate around up to the north. But at the moment, it seems to me like Ding is playing 100% for that north side cap. They don't want to give anything away. They didn't do what they did last time, for instance, you know, spreading their tanks from all the way from A1 to A8 to A9, and they're kind of keeping things a little bit more centric.
a very similar setup for WUSA as they had last time around. This setting those 4 IS3s on that G line until they sort of decide to go. So this isn't where their errors crept in. This is very standard in terms of Himmelsdorf attacking play. It's what happens after. It's about what kind of information they can gain. A lot of teams, you know, think that go for the A-line push and sort of blindly go that way. And in some cases, that's fine. They've got Siege up on the hill there, the Himmel, to be able to see if there's any sort of defending tanks there. So they know, they have a reasonable idea of what Ding are doing, what the kind of setup is looking like here, but it's how they actually act on that which is important. You can see IS3s definitely aren't as keen to push out as they were last time.
No, I think, you know, WUSA is definitely a little bit more respectful of Ding, as I said beforehand. I think one of the reasons why WUSA lost the previous round was not just because of Stefan, but also because they were too confident. They thought they could just walk over Ding, and they got kind of stung a little bit. You know, Ding is still a very, very good team. They're obviously shaky being new into the league, being a new team, but, you know, they do have good strategies and they can keep it together. But it looks like WUSA is going to go for a C3 push. They haven't got a T32, so you have to see how that one works out, but it's going to be fair enough. The actual setup from Ding is a perfect counter, though. You got the VK, you got QSAT and the IS3, who can just go up into the A1 area, and then you got the 250-100s who can provide great side shots. So let's see if WUSA can actually execute this.
Okay, WUSA taking some map control here. The 5100s aren't relevant right now. They're not in position to be able to fire, so perhaps they'll wait on those ones to sort of set up even on the 3 line and put some shots down with those 105s. But there's Stoik going to take a shot from Stefan. He's set up rather proudly on that hill, and he's going to be forced to back away. He's lucky he wasn't double tapped there and taken out. So Ding still have that tier 6 on the map, which is saying something after their last showing with Stoik there. He's often actually going down early. We even saw it on Ruenberg, I think, last time around for Ding. So the longer he stays alive, the more effective he can be. So
I'm wondering if what WUSA is thinking. Are they thinking about Percusia and the EF area? Because I can see they're kind of tentative with that T37, the 5100s. They're wondering really, you know, what they should do. I think they might be thinking, okay, maybe we're going towards the left side, put that T37 behind the building and see what we can do with it. Have the 5100s in support, and really just try and play it from there on out. But Ding are holding their ground. You know, they have the time on their hands. You know, on steps, they were going aggressive. They were trying new things, and it kind of, you know, didn't help them at all. But here we go, Meritorious and Diplomat trying to make a little bit of damage onto WUSA.
That's it. The push out on towards the road here. WUSA now in that awkward moment of being, well, not really on either side of the road properly yet. So Kenny Boy's going to get there to assist, and Stefan pushing up very, very close. Dangerous position for the man, and he gets completely taken down. Meritorious was the man who claimed that scout. Sees pushing across. They're trying to catch a Percusia now, but he's only taken 1 shot's worth of damage. Hallucinogen is trying to assist as well, and Stoik finally goes down, but that is not the target that WUSA really want right now. The base capture has started. They're moving on to that western cap in numbers, but Ding have time to respond to this.
Yeah, and Ding also have the 1 tank advantage in terms of tier 8. Not good that Desernic just exploded all of his shells as well as Ding do push forwards.
Oh man, Stefan blew up so quickly. That's such a crushing blow now. Hallucinogen going down to half health. He will manage to pick up a Kusiat, and now the shots towards Kenny Boy. They're able to force him back, but Roofy drops down now as well. WUSA, I mean, they're okay. They're in the balance. They're over on towards the cap. They're going to be forcing now the guys from Ding out. You can see Shockish, Diplomat, and Kenny Boy are going to file down and just try and shake them off at this site.
The thing is, for WUSA, Hallucinogen is reloading. So actually, you know, if Ding gets his push right, they can win this game very easily because that 5100 won't be able to support. There's only just coming off reload, and well, actually, Vitainen responding.
That's it. Kenny Boy just off your screen there, got double tapped to take it down. Those 250-100 still have a heck of a lot of damage potential between them, and they are reloaded after their initial push across. So there's a lot of damage, about about 3,000 between those 2 tanks right now. Even more than that, it's devastating. But I digress now. Shockish is forced to back away. Carvey now with the 2v1. He's trying to get a shot on towards Sockish, but Diplomat isn't actually letting him get his gun on towards that wounded IS3, and Carvey's going to take a shot for free in response. But was that a... Oh no, that wasn't a team shot. Carvey put one into Diplomat instead, just tried to use his shot. Now Vitainen coming up from behind as well. The cap is continuing, but it is being reset time and time again. Carvey's still alive. The shot from Diplomat wasn't able to connect, and between the 2 of these IS3s, they should be able to pick him up, but no, that space side armor of the IS3 is able to deflect that shot, and Carvey's got to be careful. He might drop here, and he does. So in a pinch, Ding getting ahead, but elsewhere on the map, out in the periphery, WUSA are dominating them.
Yeah, WUSA just have all the cards right now, and nice little play by Diplomat though, going 2 versus 1, and does find Carvey, but now only Meritorious, the star player from Ding, remaining. And you know, WUSA definitely were a disadvantage for a lot of that round, but clearly, you know, just being the better team, and also now putting 3 tanks in the cap, not chasing Meritorious, making sure that they have this win nailed down, having Vitalian on the cross as well to make sure that Meritorious doesn't circle around to get the decap.
And that's exactly what he's thinking of doing as well. Vitalian, yep, definitely left back as a bit of contingency here. Meritorious is but a ram away from being taken out, but he's sneakily, he still wants to get that decap, but no, there won't be quite enough time. And it will be WUSA's game there. They're mixing it up. They're happy to change their strategy, and they get the wins, 4-2.
Yeah, you know, I think Ding, they had a good advantage at the beginning when they took down Stefan there. I mean, it was so obvious that Stefan would fall in that IS-3. I think the T-32 is just better in that situation going forwards. He was down to about half HP. The IS-3 is reloaded. They killed him. Very simple stuff. And then they went forwards. I'm not sure exactly who fell, but Stoik fell after that. But they still had a good advantage, you know. They took two tier 8s for 1 tier 8, but then they seemed kind of lost, you know. You had the IS-3s going left, you had the IS-3s going right. They went all the way into the middle to try and take down the couple of IS-3s in the right side area. The cap was still underway, you know. It's just too much pressure for Ding to deal with.
There's a lot of things to consider. There's so many things happening. Not only have you got, we probably had 2 or 3 different fights happening on the periphery. There was the cap going down as well. And as Ding, especially as a caller for Ding as well, you've really got to split your focus a lot, and that can make things very, very difficult there. But this is the initial push in. This is where Stoik got hit, and you can see at the bottom of the map the AMX 5100s sort of started to gear up. Now they use them pretty much I mean, 2 5100s are going to do such a disgusting amount of damage, and when they got it set up, they got the overmatch on Percusiat, which, to be honest, it took a little bit longer than I thought it initially would to get onto him. But once they did, that position that they got Percusiat out of also doubled as a great vantage point for the IS-3s to fire onto that engagement. Yeah, but you have to think about this. I mean, Ding had all the cards. They pushed at the right times when the 5100s were on reload, but they just weren't concerted. I mean, at the end of the day, they need to use the 5100. You could see the Stefan push here. He goes forwards. He's already dead pretty much. You got the 2 IS-3s. You got the 5100 up there as well, and Kenny Boy joins in the fun. And you know, one more shell by the IS-3. Meritorious finishes that one off. So they're like, cool. You know, we got that tier 8 tank down. Then they push across, and it just goes badly. They didn't seem to have anything going for them, and some bad calls altogether. I think Ding, if they really want to be, you know, a team that beats these kind of old teams, they have to be a little more concerted. You can see Roofy as well. So, you know, two tier 8 tanks down for 1. You know, they lost Stoik, they lost Percusiat, but they took 2 tier 8 tanks down for WUSA. Although the HP is pretty close, you know, it's still a gun in the game they need. Absolutely, and we saw the 2 IS-3s and Kenny Boy on the 5100, they're grouping up as they make their way down. I understand they tried to sort of shield themselves from the other side of the map by going down that side of the houses, but this is what happened afterwards. They sort of broke formation and tried to jump on Kavi, really, and they weren't really thinking about the cap so much. And Vitalian, a factor we haven't touched on, was just sat there. His whole job was to stop them if they tried to push on. And Shokish just gets completely chunked right on down as well. Diplomat goes low. Vitalian now decides he can come out and help out. I mean, Ding putting themselves in these 1v2 situations. Yeah, Ding making the wrong decision. They decide to go towards the right side. They should have gone towards the left side the whole time and have the 5100 just provide some backup, some firepower from behind. And you know, it's already over by this time. Meritorious tries to circle around, doesn't get surprised, gets basically stopped in his tracks literally by Vitalian there. So nice play by WUSA, you know, once again coming back from a deficit to win the match. I think what they did very well is that even when they made a couple of mistakes, you know, Dozanikta missing all those shells against Percusiat or bouncing them, they still kept the HP fairly close. Yeah, I mean, and this is the second time actually we've seen WUSA, you know, go for the ace up the sleeve in terms of that Eastern cap, and it worked out. They've managed to make it happen. Now they're on defense, and Ding have to push on. They have to attack. They've got to make it happen, otherwise they're out. So you got the AMX 12T by Stoik, so I'm kind of guessing maybe they're going to go for the northern side cap. You know, WUSA's, the thing about the T-37 is that it's good enough. You can actually use it behind that left side, but it looks like a few of the players are stopped from Ding, so I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work out, or maybe they seem to be back in the game. I'm not sure exactly what was a disconnect, or they just decided to stop, perhaps considering what their next move would be. All right, Stoik again. Always the first to cop a shot. Luckily, it wasn't anything to really write home about, and he'll be able to back away and still contribute to the fights. Of course, that's an autoloader there on that 12 ton, so in the same way that many of those tier 6s can harass and be effective. He'll be doing that with that 12 ton and actually have a little bit more burst to offer if he can penetrate. Not the easiest tank to penetrate shots with, especially against an IS-3, but still one nonetheless. Now, interesting enough, WUSA have set himself up in the middle of the map, and there's a bit of a shooting gallery here for the 25100s.
Yeah, this is good now. I think Ding can do a lot of damage. WUSA clearly wanted to use that whole tactic of going forwards, going aggressive on the defensive side, trying to do some early damage, but Ding, they stopped and they waited and they were patient, and they got rewarded for it.
I mean, a few shots in response there, but I think it was Roofy that got chunked right on down there. He's now limping towards the base of Ding, and Ding essentially being kept in their own half of the map right now. Those 25100s flexing off the kill. Common spot to have them because they can really build up ahead of steam. They are fast tanks, and it's very normal to use them just to rotate off the hill. But it's going to be a little while before they can contribute here. They might just set up and try and do a little bit more sniping. We'll have to wait and see. But the rest of the IS-3s from Ding have really turtled up right now. I mean, they're waiting for WUSA to come to him. WUSA, there's no obligation for WUSA to come forward. It looks like they're just trying to catch Ding off guard.
Ding have so many options. You know, they got Roofy, who's down very low. They can just push on him. They can do damage there. They got the 8-line as well. And where the positions of WUSA are, you know, they kind of stretched out. You know, their resources are thin. Ding also has the higher ground. If they want to, they can rotate this 5100 off the hill and make shots against Carvey and Dazanixta from behind. You know, Ding has to make these moves. On steps they weren't. They kind of flustered. They weren't making, you know, the next step they needed to actually win these rounds. And, you know, it gives WUSA the advantage on the defensive side as it does wear down that clock.
Now Ding don't have the option to go for that 8-line push unless they want to try and go through not one, not two, but 3 IS-3s on that road. You can see the setup there just on your screen before. So it's got to be something different from Ding now. And WUSA have this map. They always take map control well, but if you're a defending team and you have map control, that is so oppressive to try and deal with as an attacker. Yeah,
and I think WUSA's doing it quite nicely. They're leaving the 1, 2, 3 line pretty much uncovered. I mean, if Ding go up the K line, it's going to be good, but the 8-line stack is really fantastic, and Ding seem to be taking the bait. But still, if Ding can, you know, take down Stefan before Roofy can get in the game, then it could go very well for them. They've got the 51s there on the side to provide burst. And you said Ding do seem to be getting the overmatch, but Vetline from the side does spot out the push.
Very nice little cross from him. Very reminiscent of Percusiat in the last map. Actually managed to do just that. And wasn't enough though, but still good shot from Vetline. And now, I mean, yes, the hold down position is available, but Roofy's there to deny it. So are the 251, so is that 5100 and the IS-3 there as well. There's really nowhere good Ding can go, and they're just walking in now too, straight towards an Inferno, and it's a bloodbath really. Ding are going to struggle here if they're not careful. The setup is really good. The L-shaped defense from WUSA now is going to make it so they have nowhere to go. Really, that's going to get them through unscathed.
I don't see how Ding can come back from this. I mean, as soon as they headed towards that 8-line, it was game over. WUSA had, you know, the perfect setup to deal with everything, and Vetline spotting the cross was fantastic. Now you'll see the 5100s push up from WUSA up the 8-line, and they're just going to close this game off.
And what are Ding's 5100s doing? I mean, they're just trying to deal with their opposite numbers right now. They're not able to help the the IS-3s. They're not able to sort of follow up on their damage right now. So it's just 3 tanks in that middle road with really long reload times. Vetline will take down Diplomat now. Percusiat, Meritorious low, Hulknik low, Kenny Boy with some damage on him already. Roofy and Dazanixta are 1-shots, but they're still, as you said, guns in the game. Hallucinogen now free to rotate from the outside. Hulknik seriously in trouble right now, especially as Percusiat and Meritorious are pushed up. They have a little bit of defense from the natural features in the building, but at any point, WUSA can just push across, and it looks like that's what they're doing now.
Yeah, it's going to be game over. Olsnik is pretty much a sitting duck. I mean, the 5100 from behind does finish him off. He will be the last one to fall for Ding, and WUSA closing off the series 5-2.
Yet another strong showing from the Germans. WUSA. The only maps they really drop are ones where they maybe got a little bit ahead of themselves or a little bit overly confident. But I tell you what, it's not bad from Ding. They're still putting rounds on the map, but it's going to take more. They can't take these gimme rounds. They've really got to start taking control of the map. The second that we saw WUSA were given the freedom to push up on that map, it seemed like, I don't know about you, but it just seemed like Ding had run out of options almost by that point.
Ding had a total of 3 options, right? They had option 1. I mean, the quickest one, which would have been push the 5100s off the hill, deal with Dazanixta and Carvey from behind, have your IS-3s push from whatever angle, you know? As long as you got that overmatch, first of all, WUSA would have, you know, probably reacted and they would have found a way in with those IS-3s. Option 2, the middle option, the second fast option, which was what they did, push up the 8-line. WUSA were ready and waiting, that's already a failure of an option. You would have 100%. You cannot win that, basically, unless you get very lucky. Option 3, the 1 to 3 line, you would have been able to go up the K line and potentially win it that way as well. Keep the 5100s on the hill. That's questionable as well. Maybe just keep the 12 ton on the hill to provide a little bit of pester, and that could have worked. But that second option was just not the right one.
I mean, no matter where they went, they wanted to push the 8 line, there were tanks waiting for them. If Ding wanted to push on towards that D line, there were also tanks waiting for them. WUSA split their forces really, really well, and they definitely came out on top. And now, Melly, of course, the vote was sort of indicating the whole time that sort of WUSA was sort of ahead. As we see the last bits play out, tell us if that changed at all, and tell us what people are talking about on chat.
Well, people were sure that WUSA's going to take this one already after the first map, and didn't actually take it into account that Ding could come back somehow. So maybe, I don't know if WUSA is too present, or Ding didn't prove themselves to be deserving of the Gold League yet. But, well, there are a lot of match days coming, and people tell me what do you think about it. Use the hashtag WGLEU over Twitter and tell us your thoughts on Ding, if they will, well, turn up eventually, and if WUSA is maybe actually... I don't want to say pretty good, because they're good. All teams that are in the Gold League are good, but I mean, maybe compared to last season, more consistent in their play. People, it's up to you, the all-knowing and almighty community. Use the hashtag WGLEU to tell us what's the case. And of course, 90% vote, people knew it, and the prediction were mostly going to 5-0 actually. But yes.
Okay, so do you maybe think, though, that a newer team as well, Ding, doesn't maybe have the fan base? Because obviously WUSA have been around for quite some time, and I've seen, like, every now and then when I do see chat, like, people are sort of... I mean, Meritorious is a very well-known player, of course, from Poland. I mean, yeah, like, WUSA looking more consistent. I mean, are people sort of... You know, is there a sense that, I mean, Ding are sort of still just building up as a team and a name sort of thing?
There could be. I mean, the community at home do know their players, do know their teams, and they tend to vote more for the well-known teams than for the new and underdogs. And sometimes they somehow change their minds and go with the underdogs in a very clear matchup, and it actually happens. So the ways of the community can't be told, to be honest. But, well, that could be one of the reasons for new teams not getting the vote recognition in those Facebook polls and whatever, because they're new to the scene, they're new, people don't know how they act as a team, actually, even if the players are known.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're really sensitive to new schemes.
Right, as you can see, of course, the vote's definitely heavily in favour of WUSA in that one. Now, before we go to a break, quickly, tell me, was anyone able to decipher my story?
Of course
I know you
not.
even tried some Aussie banter on me on Twitter as well. Brilliant.
Yeah, but I was kind of looking for the words I thought you said in the Aussie dictionary, but...
What do you think, Ollie? Did you decipher it, mate? You weren't listening.
I already told you, mate. I already told you. I have no idea. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. I mean, there was a sentence. You said some words. I think it might be noises. You might be transforming into a bat and trying to echolocate yourself around this room. I don't know what you're doing. I mean, these are the options there possible. I mean, wow. I'm just saying, mate.
That is bizarre.
Well, the new vote is up.
Does Google Translate have it for Aussie banter, by the way?
No, but the problem is though, because when you're speaking in Australian, about 80% of what you say is swear words. So like that's why people say I don't sound like an Aussie when I'm casting, because I like my job. A lot of the time as well. When I was looking before for Australianisms, and I saw a lot of familiar ones, but maybe 5% of them were sort of appropriate for PG-13
I figured
audiences.
that you use a lot of Y and IE endings to try to make stuff cute, maybe. I don't know. But yes, you can see yourself. I will post the dictionary link into the Twitch chat. But to get back to topic, the new vote for the last matchup of tonight is up, and we already have, well, one person voted already because he kind of stumbled over the vote. No, plenty more, but 100% for Virtus Pro, of course.
Done. There it is.
Of course. We actually don't need to play out the third match of tonight, as it seems, because it's been decided already. I don't know. But
Well,
yeah, as you said, short break. People, don't go anywhere. Time to get some snacks and drinks, and we'll be back in 5 minutes.